Alright, so this is our next video in making our My First Car. Now as you can see so far, we've done our main body, we've done our CO2 canister housing there, we've got a fillet between that and the body, and we've put in our front and rear wheel cutouts there, as well as our axle holes. And we're now at the point where we've got to move on to the next stage, which if we go to the PDF here, is, scroll down one, here we go, is the wings for the front and rear of the F1 car. So as you can see in the image here, we have a fairly small wing up the front here, which is 16mm in length from the tip of the triangle there to the back, 20mm from the center of our axle hole, and 11mm width at the base of the triangle there. And up the back here, the wing on the canister housing there, 20mm to the tip of it from the back of the car, and it has a 4mm back edge there, and you can see it's a little 90-degree triangle there on the outside, and it looks probably about 5mm in from the end of the canister housing. Now this is where things get tricky, because we can see we've got a canister housing here which is curved, so somehow we've got to draw that triangle and get it to merge in with our curve there. You can also see there's a bit of a taper on it, same with the front one here. Now if you have a look up the top here, it says wings are extruded with a -2-degree taper. I'd just like you to pay attention to the 2 degrees for now, perhaps not so much the negative, but just pay attention to that 2 degrees. So let's start with our first one here, the front wing. We'll start drawing that one up. So jumping back into Fusion, alright, we're going to start a new sketch, alright, and we're going to do it on this very outer face here, which is where these 2 wings need to come from. So I'll start off a new sketch. I'm just going to draw the basic triangle up the front here, alright, for the front wing, and you can see there that the front point of it is central to that back edge of the triangle and everything. And now that we've got a basic little triangle drawn there, we need to start putting some dimensions on it. So I'm going to hit the D key on my keyboard to get me the dimension tool. I'm going to start with this rear line, and we need this one to be 11mm, which is what it had on the PDF there, and I believe it was 20mm from front to back here. Actually, it might have been 16. Let's type in 16 and double check. Let's go back to the PDF there, and yes, 16. And it does need to be 20mm from that axle hole as well, so we'll do that now too. So from this line here to the center of our axle hole, oh, I might struggle to do this a little bit. Nope, so this is where we run into a bit of some trouble here, and it's because we haven't actually projected the geometry of that hole onto the sketch we're doing. And that's a pretty easy task to do. So if we click on the little create palette here, sorry, not the create, the sketch palette, and we scroll down, we've got the project drop down here, and what we're going to do is just click project, and we're just going to click on that axle hole there. And what that'll do is it'll project that geometry, okay, from that face there, from the axle hole, up onto the sketch we're doing now. Now if we go and use our dimension tool, so clicking D on the keyboard again, we can actually add that dimension in, so 20mm as we said. The other benefit of this, because you can see that if we have a look at mine, it doesn't really look like the one in the drawing. You can see this one's more central in that front end of the car there, so we need to fix that up. So we can use a constraint to do that. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is just select the center point of that circle, select the tip of my triangle there, and I'm going to select the horizontal vertical constraint, and now they're constrained together horizontally and vertically, which is exactly what we're after. And the very last thing we're going to do is just add in one final dimension just to close out our triangle there and give it a fully constrained triangle. You can see that by all the black lines. Alright, so it's now fully constrained. So now that's our front wing, and now we need to do the rear wing. So exiting out of our dimension tool, I'm just going to pan down to the back here, and we want to place that wing somewhere around here. So let's have a quick look at the drawing, and we can see that that wing there, it doesn't have a specific position. It doesn't really show that it seems to be, probably by the look of it, it's probably on that origin point there, about the base of it's probably at the same height as the origin point. Alright, and as we said there, we've got the dimensions there, 4mm at the back edge, and 20 to the tip from the back of the car and about 5mm in. So let's go ahead and do that one now. So selecting the line tool, we're just going to draw that triangle anywhere here. It doesn't really matter too much where it is, as long as we make sure we've got that 90 degree in the corner, which we do. Alright, now we need to add some dimensions to it. So hitting the D key again, make that 4mm at the back. Alright, and from the back edge of the car to the front of the wing, we want that to be 20mm. And we also want to be sure that we are the correct distance from this back edge here. And what we're going to do is just move this line in now, and then we'll pop the dimension on. So D again, from the back there, and we'll make that 5mm. So that's our back wing there. Right now it looks like it is just a little bit above that center point, or our origin point of our sketch, so we're going to need to add a constraint in there to fix that for us. So selecting the base line of the triangle there, holding Control on the keyboard, selecting the origin point, and then right clicking. And we can go with coincidence in this case, and that sets a coincidence between that line and that point. And you can see there that that triangle is now fully constrained as well. We've got the black lines, it's fully dimensioned, fully constrained. So let's zoom back out and pan so we can see the whole car. There we go. So there's the F1 car there with the two wings, front and back. We just need to go ahead and extrude them now. So let's just move up and change our view on the little navi cube here, hitting the right hand top corner. And zoom out a little bit more and just pan again. There we go. And I'm going to need to use the extrude tool. So I'm clicking the extrude tool, I'm going to select both of those parts. Alright, and in this case, what we're going to do is we'll use the probably the distance, or the to object, I'd say is probably better. So I'm going to select that as my object for that one, and for this one back here, looks like we need to do these two separately. So I'm just going to hit cancel on my extrusion there. I'll go back into that view. So you're going to need to do each of these one at a time. Just get that back on the center of the screen there. So clicking the extrude tool, I'll start with the front one here. So clicking on that shape, I'm going to use the extent to object, and I'll select the body of the car. You can see there it's going to merge into the car. I am going to use the operation which is join for this one, because I want it to join onto the car. And remember from the page here, we had that wings are extruded with a -2 degree taper. So what we'll do is we're just going to type that in, because you can see here we have a taper angle here. And we'll type in -2 and see what happens. And if you have a look here, where I've just typed that in, the inner triangle is actually smaller than the outer one. So -2 in this case isn't actually helpful. What we want to do is the 2 degree taper, right, and that tapers it out towards the car. And again, it's still going to join onto the car there. So we'll hit OK, and there we go, we've got our front wing. And you can see the sketch for that rear one has actually disappeared. Now the great thing about this parametric modelling that we're doing, you can see how we've got all those steps that we've done here. As I highlight over them, it shows me all the different bits of that initial drawing. Alright, the great thing about parametric sketching or parametric modelling is that if I click on the sketches here, we can see that sketch that we've just done. And if I click on the little light bulb next to it, it reappears. So I can actually use it again to do this next extrusion. So I'm going to grab the extrude tool again, click on that particular spot. I'll change my extent to object, and I'll select that there, which is the canister housing. Still going to join it in, and with that 2 degree taper again. You can see I'm getting that correct shape from the drawing there, and it's going to join right onto the canister housing. So with all that selected, don't need to change the offset. All I'm doing is extending it to the object at that 2 degree taper angle, and I'll hit OK. And there we go. So I now have those two wings, the front and the rear wing. So it looks just like the one in the drawing here, which is what we're after. And the last, or second to last bit that we need to do is start putting some different fillets on it. Alright, so between these different parts in the car. Now, really important here is that the fillets need to be placed in order and at specified radius. So you see here we have all these different radiuses, and they are in a specific order. So the first ones that we need to add in are the red ones. So they're 3.5mm, and we've got them at the front and rear of our wheel housings on the sides of our car. Alright, so let's go and add those in. So looking here, I'm going to use before I do that, I'm just going to turn off that sketch again by clicking on the little light bulb there. I'm going to click on my modify tool, then the fillet. I'm going to select those different vertices where I want those fillets. So those two there. I'll just switch views so we can see the front two. That one there, that one there. And in the little fillet tool palette here, we'll change that to 3.5. Alright, and hit OK. And there we go, we've got those first fillets in. So back to the drawing. Next we need to put in our blue fillets. Okay, so the blue ones are here, 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 and this is where things get tricky because there is one on the front of the car as well. Alright, we've got, by the look of it, it's really tricky to see this in this case, but I believe it's on the back of those wings and the back of the back wing as well. So the front of the back wing at the back, front of the car, top and bottom here, top and bottom here. Alright, and that should be all the blue ones, which are at a 1mm radius. So going back to Fusion, back to our fillet tool, and we're going to select that one there, that one there, that one there, and that one there. The back of this wing here, so the top and bottom, and the back of this wing here, top and bottom. And we'll type in our 1mm radius. Alright, it's going to add it to all of those. If we're happy with that, hit OK. And we've now put those radiuses on. So if I change view, you can see them on the back of the wings there as well. So back to the drawing. So we've done our blue, we're now up to the green. There's 3 of those, 0.5mm, so they're quite small, those ones. Alright, they're on the front of the wing, so one on the front of the wing there, and on the front of the wing here. And that looks to be all of them. So I don't know where the 3 comes from, but there we go. So one there, and one there. And it does look as though there's probably a blue one on the back of the car there, which I missed before, so I'll have to fix that one up in a moment. Alright, so the green one, actually we'll do that blue one first, then we'll do those different green ones. Okay, so back to Fusion there. Just going to add that blue one on, so fillet tool again, back of the car, so I'll just change my angle so I can see that. Back of the car here, and that was a 1mm fillet there because it was blue. Okay. Now we need to go and put on our 0.5mm one. So fillet tool again, front of that wing there, front of that wing there. And it looks as though I missed another one on the front of the car there, so I might be able to add that one back in a minute. And that's 0.5. Right, so you can see I have missed the one on the very front of the car, so let's just check which dimension that is, and it looks as though it's the 1mm blue. So going back to the sketch here, or back to the car here, we added an extra blue one in there, and we also added, should have been part of this fillet number 3, which are all 1mm fillets. Now we can actually go and edit this, because we're doing parametric modeling. If we click on that specific task, and we will roll back to there, right, to the point where we're doing it, and we're going to click on Edit Feature. That allows us to actually add in more edges. So I'm just going to go ahead and change those edges. So we've got the front, top, bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom, and back edges of the wing, and the very back of the car as well. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's what we had on the drawing. And now that I've selected all those, I'm going to type in that 1mm radius, and we'll hit OK. And there we go. So we've got all those radiuses on now. Now I can move my slider forward again. And you can see here what's happened, because it's parametric modeling, it's actually lit up on that fillet number 14 and said, hey, that one doesn't actually work. And that's because we went and added that fillet in after the fact. Now we've put on the original one, we can actually delete that. And there we go. Now, as you can see, we have added in our 0.5mm on the front of each of those, which is what we needed to do. Let's go back to the drawing and have a look at what's next. So I've done the greens there, I've done all the blues, I'm up to the pinks, which is 1mm. That's around the end of the two wings and the end of the side pods of the car. So 1mm around those areas. So back to Fusion, back to our fillet tool. I'm going to select that one there, that one there, that one there, and that one there. Alright, so it's all those edges and 1mm fillet on those. Hit OK, and that's that fillet. And let's just check what's left. Just the yellow one, which is between the wings and the car, and they're a 3.5mm. Alright, so we'll go and add those in now as well. So back to our modifier fillet. That edge there, that one there, and 3.5. And there we go. If we hit OK, we've done all the fillets on our car now, and we're almost finished. You can see there it's looking almost exactly like my first car should look. Alright, thanks for watching that video. See you in the next one.